Alrighty, so what I've got going on here is a project I'm going to take back to work. So at work we have adjustable height saw stands. Say you have metal extending out over the end of the saw. Here's your saw. Let's just say your bandsaw, and here's your metal. You have these adjustable stands, 3 legs, have a tube in the middle, and the legs join to the base tube. Then there's a second tube in that has an adjustable set screw in the side. And then inside of that we have these big screws that go down to that with a nut with these rotation bars or whatever on the side. And you just slide this down the side and use this to adjust the height up and down. So we have them with flat tops, with V tops, leaves it pipe in there. Yeah, so that's all we really have. And they do tend to slide back and forth a little bit because these fit inside these pipes, and while they are adjusted with this, they're not a snug fit as they just sit in there. But that aside, I wanted a roller one, like where you just pour your metal over top of it out here. It's not a piece of flat bar, and it rolls the metal with it. So I got that made. I didn't have quite all this stuff together. I'll get to that in a minute. Only problem was the metal, when I was pulling into the saw, it still twisted this back and forth because it was just sitting loose in that pipe. So it took me quite a while when I was cutting stuff to figure out a solution. So I finally did. This is totally made out of just odds and ends and scrap I cut from around the shop. This was a spare roller we had in the shop. Well, it's an old roller. And where you get those from, you have a bunch of rollers on like it's not a conveyor belt, but like a roller conveyor, and that you can roll steel along to feed it up into the saw. And this was chilling along the wall, so I was going to use that. I had some pretty nasty dents in that, so I used 6013, made a nice 6013 soup in there, filled those dents in. It's not perfect, and you'll see spots where it's not flush. It's a lot better than it was. And this is some bar stock I cut. And then this end is spring loaded, so if I push it in, I can slide it back into here. And I did pack this up at work with MIG gun on my lunch break, but I didn't have enough time to finish it, so I brought it home. I used this as an excuse to practice some of my 6010. So I did dime stacking over all the beads. Actually, I think I did pretty good for the most part. It's hard to tell sometimes with the way the light's glaring. And all this around here, all 6010. That I started going off the path, so I just didn't pass over it. Here, 6010, all around that, 6010. Same with this. This was 6013. Actually, it was the ADT-AC Plus. I did a video on the other day, which is basically a 6013. And I found that now I kind of understand why people may like 6013. It has a very, if I can say, gentle arc. It's not violent or digging or anything. It's got very shallow penetration, very easy to work with. It's just not the best for heavy materials or sometimes out of position weld because you can get slag trapped in it. But that aside, I can understand why it's used for a lot of farm stuff. And then this, so it's some assembly required, but to stop this from rotating, or I'll just redraw this. Leg, I have a leg over here, and then you have this pipe stand, whatever. Good grief. I'll take that out of context. And let's say we have this here. There's a roller on top. And while this wants to turn, I have that nut there. And where did the little collar go? Oh yeah, this one here. So this is going to be down on here. And this screw that screw, this bolt goes into here, and it tightens it on here, so you can rotate it around there to match up with wherever this is. And this rod goes through this one and down through this, so it doesn't rotate. This will be clamped on to the base of the height support, whatever you call it, saw support, and it will kind of lock the two together because it'll be clamped on this. Now this here will be sitting about under there. If it raises and lowers the height. So yeah, I don't know if I can do this one-handed. Part of me just wants to wait until tomorrow to assemble it. But you can do. Press that in. There we go. It's a little wobbly. It was already a little bent, but it'll do. Screwed up on there. Goes into here, and that goes between those two. So yeah, that was my evening. That was fun.